Alexa, turn the light on.
Okay.
Alexa, increase the brightness of the light to 50%.
Okay.
Alexa, turn the light red.
Okay.
Alexa, play some music.
Here's a playlist you might like. Beatlemania on Amazon Music.
So this is a prototype that I made for an Amazon Echo light bulb. I also call it the Alexa light bulb for short. It's made from a smart light bulb and an Amazon Echo Dot, and the electronics from both devices fit in a 3D printed case. If you want to see what else the Alexa light bulb can do, then check out the video link in the description below.
Calling Mum's mobile.
In this video I'm going to show you how I made this prototype. But before I do, it's important to say this isn't an instructional video. This is just an experimental prototype and it's not suitable for use as a working light bulb. Okay, with that said, let's look at the first prototype that I built. It's quite rough and ready, but it did demonstrate that you could put a smart light bulb and a smart speaker into a light bulb body. And this was the second prototype that I built. I actually thought that this was going to be the final version, that's why I sanded and sprayed it. But the divider that separated the Echo Dot LEDs from the smart light bulb LEDs didn't work very well, so I had to redesign it. So I made this third and final prototype with an improved divider. I also managed to shrink the form factor down to make it look more like a normal light bulb. So next I'm going to take you through the build process for this final prototype. So first I obviously need to take apart an Amazon Echo Dot. I need 3 components from this device. I need the LED and microphone board from the top of the unit. That's connected by a ribbon cable to the motherboard, which carries the processor, and I also need the speaker. Okay, on to the next step. Well, my Echo light bulb obviously needs to light up, so I'm going to take parts from this smart light bulb. The first parts I need are the LED matrix and the wireless radio circuit. Those PCBs are glued together and they're housed inside the bulb, so they're easy to access. What's more difficult to get at is the LED driver that's actually hidden within the metal body of the light bulb. And the only way to get that out is to carefully cut through that body without damaging the driver, and then cut off the screw cap at the end, pull out the driver and then remove the wrapping. So now I've got all the electronics I need to make the Echo light bulb. I've got the LED and microphone board from the Echo Dot, and the motherboard and speaker from the Echo. I've also got a small transformer to power those electronics, and the LED driver and LED matrix from the smart light bulb. And with those components I can now sketch out the design of the Alexa light bulb and work out how the components fit together. With the design sketched out, I can now convert the sketch into a 3D model and design the parts that I need to 3D print. This includes the outer casing for the light bulb and a inner casing that will hold the electronics, and a small bridge or platform that will hold the LED driver in place, and also a circular bracket that will hold the speaker and motherboard. On top of that, I need a reflector, and finally a divider that will separate the two parts of the bulb. I also need to design a heatsink for the LED matrix, and I'll get that laser cut. And with the 3D modelling done, I can now 3D print the parts. This is the outer casing and the inner casing for the light bulb being 3D printed, This took about 8.5 hours, so I obviously filmed this as a time lapse. So now I've got all the parts that I need from the 3D printer, including the outer casing for the light bulb and this inner casing that sits inside. These are a few of the parts that I need that will come into play later in the build. So the next step is to sand the outer casing and then spray paint it. Right, so the casing looks great after being sanded and sprayed. It's got a nice finish to it. And the next step is to add this black felt to the inside of the speaker holes to hide the electronics inside. To get an accurate cut template, I flattened the 3D model of the casing and then printed it out as a 2D net. I then used double-sided tape to hold the felt in place. Okay, so the felt's in and it looks nice and neat. And the next step is to attach the screw cap to the casing. Of course, the electronics in the Alexa light bulb will all be powered by electricity drawn from a light bulb socket through the screw cap, so it made sense to wire up the screw cap before I glued it in place. It was actually quite tricky attaching the screw cap to the 3D printer case. I used a 2-part epoxy glue because it obviously sets faster. So the glue's dried and the screw cap's fixed firmly in place. And the next step is to add the small transformer that will power the Alexa electronics and also the LED driver that will power the main white LEDs. The small transformer actually came out of a spare iPhone charger that I had lying around. And this is the inner casing being fitted inside the main body of the light bulb, and this casing, as you can see, holds the electronics. The next step is to glue a small platform in place over the iPhone charger, and this will provide somewhere for the LED driver to be glued to. And now the LED driver can be wired up and glued in place. Now that the transformer and LED driver are in place, the next step is to add the speaker out of the Amazon Echo Dot. I first have to solder wires onto the contact points on the back of the speaker. I can then bolt the speaker to the circular bracket that I 3D printed. The bracket's then fitted in place with the speaker facing downwards, creating a sound chamber. Right, so with the speaker in, I reckon we're halfway through the build, and the next step is to add the motherboard from the Echo Dot. And once the motherboard's been wired up to the speaker, I can then do a quick test to check that the speaker's working properly. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 4:33 p.m.
With the sound check complete, I can then solder a micro USB to the cables coming off the iPhone charger and then plug it into the motherboard. I can then glue down the motherboard and then attach a thermally conductive sticker to the processor shielding and attach a heatsink. I then glue down the 3D printed reflector to hold the heatsink in place. And that's the body of the light bulb complete. With that done, I can attach the LED and microphone board from the Echo onto the light bulb. A ribbon cable connects the LED and microphone board to the motherboard. So before I screw down the mic and LED board, I'm going to tackle the trickiest part of the build, which is to create the bulb for the light bulb. This one's from a smart light bulb, and I'm going to need to drill 6 microphone holes into the bulb. I'm going to use this strange jig to do that, but I also need to cut the bottom section off the bulb to create that distinctive blue light ring that you get with Echo devices.
So I first need to use the jig to mark on the bulb where I want to drill the microphone holes. And that's the bulb parts complete.
You might have noticed that the microphone holes are a bit large, but that's because I want to fit these tiny end caps in.
These end caps are really small, so there's no way I could have used my FDM printer. So instead I used an SLA printer and 3D printed them in resin. I then painted them and glued them into the microphone holes in the bulb.
Okay, so the glue's dried and it looks pretty good. But before we can attach the bulb, we need to attach the strip that we cut off the base, and this is going to let the light from the blue indicator LEDs shine through. So let's do that now. To hold the circular light strip in place, I've 3D printed this bracket out of black and white filament. The black underside is designed to stop blue light from travelling through into the main body of the bulb, and the top side is obviously a reflector. The bracket's also designed to hold this second aluminium heatsink. I got this one laser cut because of the complexity of it, and this sits in the centre here.
The bracket that it's screwed into is actually printed from ABS filament so that it can withstand the heat from the heatsink.
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. The next step is to wire up the LED matrix from the smart light bulb to the LED driver inside and sit it on top of the heatsink.
I just need to apply some thermal paste to the underside of the LED matrix so that it has a good thermal connection with the heatsink.
Okay, so the LED matrix is nicely attached, all wired up, and the last step is to glue the bulb to the light bulb body.
This is a delicate last step, and the last thing I want is glue everywhere, but after a few attempts I got the alignment just right.
Okay, so it's actually finished. One Amazon Echo light bulb. All I've got to do is test it.
So I'm testing it in the hallway, and it made sense to do it when it was a bit darker. Once you've screwed the Alexa light bulb prototype in, it automatically starts up. This takes a few seconds, just like an Echo Dot, and then it's good to go.
Alexa, turn the light on.
Okay,
Alexa, turn the lights orange.
okay,
Alexa, turn the lights red.
okay,
Alexa, turn the lights green.
okay,
Alexa, turn the lights white.
okay,
Alexa, increase the brightness of the light to 75%.
okay,
Alexa, turn the light off.
okay.
Alexa, what's the weather?
Currently, in London it's 19 degrees Celsius with mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, you can expect cloudy skies moving in and out, with a low of 13 degrees.
Alexa, what's the news?
Here's your news. From BBC News.
BBC News with Dee and Tom, and first to Downing Street, where we understand Boris Johnson is considering calling a snap general election. It's thought the...
Alexa, turn the news off. Alexa, play some music.
Here is a playlist you recently listened to, Beatles in Love, from Amazon Music.
Alexa, turn the light on.
Okay.
I hope you've enjoyed this detailed look at the Alexa lightbulb build. If you want to see photos of the build process, then check out my Instagram, the link's in the description below. And subscribe to this channel for more weird and wonderful reinventions.
Alexa, turn the light off.
Okay.